Hello everyone! So, at the time that these videos go up, it's going to be after No Bazooka has finished. It's been a while since No Bazooka has finished, and, I hope you guys enjoyed that mini tournament series. But I ran that tournament series to test out my own ideas for restrictions and see what I think about the meta. And so, I want to give a little bit of my thoughts about what we saw from the tournament, what I think we should learn from, etc. Because, it would have been awesome if the patch did fix stuff like Pen and Bazooka and we wouldn't have to talk about this, but unfortunately, it still hasn't happened yet. Meaning we know for at least, a month and a half, possibly longer, we're still gonna have to deal with this. So, what do I think about the meta? What do I think we should change about it? Let's take a look at the one change I'm gonna recommend for tournaments. This is the one change that I think everything from major tournaments to weeklies, etc. should adopt as a rule. It's a really simple one. Charge up and tenacity ban on pencil. I think should be completely banned in every tournament. Now, why? First off, nothing's restricted. Nothing's taken away. Right? You can still pick the same weapon. And I know monitoring for charge up on gear is a little annoying, but it's only one weapon. Makes it a lot easier to keep track of when it's one weapon, At most, 2 people are going to pick it in a match, right? Really easy to manage. And 2 is the data. From the tournament itself, and I don't have concrete data. I didn't see every match. It was mostly matches on stream, and I mostly care about top-level matches. Pencils seem to be used less than edit and zap. If not, comparable amounts. I think that pencil just being a bit more expensive is enough to start putting it in line with other cooler weapons. And it wasn't that pencil wasn't used, which I think is good. I think pencil is about the same tier of viability as the other cooler weapons without any form of charge-up. And that's exactly why I like the change. I think pencil should be something that's picked. It helps with comps, right? It's important. But it's over-centralizing. If we want to open up other options, especially in things like the anchor roll, if we want to see more rapids or expo or firefin or even red pen, whatever backline you want to see, then I think this is the best way to do it. I think it by far will open up the most weapon variety of options. It's super simple to do, and it doesn't take away from anyone's playstyle. If anything, I think playing pencil with no charge-up is honestly a bit more fun because you get to invest gear into the main weapon a little bit more and get a little bit more main weapon power. So, that's the one part of the restrictions that I think should be standard. The second talk is no bazooka, right? I think that there are 3 ways of restricting Zooka, or 3 levels, I should say. Level 1, kind of the most basic, easy one, is banning charge up on Zooka, similar to pencil, and limiting it to 1 Zooka per comp. Like with Pen, this doesn't outright ban anything, but now we can't pick, 10 and Shot together. You'd have to do, T-Tech and Torella 10, or Shot and Vanilla 10. Well, that's a simple idea, right? You can just limit it so that it's 1 Zooka guy, and the Zooka guy doesn't have charge up or tenacity. They'll probably have comeback, so it'll still be a decent bit. It'll be less Bazooka overall, Simple one. Does it do a lot? Not really. That's kind of the downside. The difference between that and no restrictions isn't that much, because, mostly at top level, there's not very often that double Zooka is being picked. It's not really a thing. I've seen a lot at high and mid level. I've seen a lot of double shot. Especially when I play in Sender queue. If I'm, queuing into a plat team. I'll see a lot of double shot. And, double shot isn't good, but it works at that level. And that's the thing about Zooka that I've come to realize. I think Zooka restrictions that aren't completely banning the special are mostly not that... Not that they don't matter for top level, but they aren't where the ban hits the hardest. It mostly affects players a skill level down. And I don't think that's even necessarily a bad thing. I think that Zooka spam and running multi-Zooka strats are things that don't win at the top level, and are kind of hindering player growth and improvement. Which is why the next point comes into mind. The main weapon that it's done with is Shot. So level 2 of this is, same one Zooka restriction, you can restrict charge up if you want, but no Shot. You could target Shot as the only weapon to get banned. It is a viable second kit, so you would still see the main weapon, but just ban the vanilla Shot kit. All the other Zooka weapons don't get as much besides Tent, and Tent's really difficult to use, so you could restrict it that way. And then level 3 is what I did in the tournament because I wanted to see what it was like with Zooka gone. Which is no bazooka, no Zooka weapons can be picked. And this has the more obvious downside, right? It bans a lot of weapons in the game, and most of them have good alternate kits to be picked in, but it's still a restriction. It's still going to be different comps, it's still going to limit what you can do. I wanted to see what exactly was picked without no Zooka. What changed? Would anything become over-centralizing? And, it's only 1 tournament, so who knows if I ran it again, maybe it'd be different. But the only thing I really didn't like from what I saw was that double whale and double strike were a thing you could pick, and with the new edit being added to the game by the time this comes out, you know, maybe double crab would be more on the table too. So maybe I would have to do some form of restriction to no duplicate specials to ensure that wouldn't be a problem. But realistically, with that done, I don't think there was a big deal. Firefin wasn't as dominant as I thought, and again, maybe it changed later. But I don't think any role was super over-centralizing. Which is kind of interesting to me. I think it still worked out. So, I don't know what the best answers are, but the one thing I want to talk about, though, when it comes to bans, is I don't think bans should be about, is this too good? Or, I want to use the term broken, right? Everyone likes to use that, right? We call things broken. I think that if you're trying to ban something off it being broken, unless if it's so over-centralizing you run like 3 of them, I feel like it's really hard to define what is too broken. The goalposts are just so arbitrary. What counts as too broken is gonna vary. And like, you know, if we had something like double sword be meta, you know, a pretty well-liked weapon, I don't know if we would be advocating for restrictions, but we are with only 1 shot picked. So it's an unfair standard, right? I think instead bans need to be about what we want in a competitive environment, and adjusting that. What do we want to see? What do we value from our best players? Like, what is good for the game? What is good for competition? What do players like to see on the spectator point of view? What do players like to play against? And why? Right? My biggest regret in Splatoon 2 is that we should have banned stuff. And I think most people who played top level or who were around in the TO scene will probably agree that we should have had some form of restrictions. Because, like, at the end of Splatoon 2, nobody was playing the game. There was extremely little motivation, and it would just be for the few tournaments that were there. And really, the main thing that kept people going was Splatoon 3 being on the horizon. I just gotta tolerate this, and Splatoon 3 will be out soon, right? And I'm not saying that's gonna happen for Splatoon 3, because it's really a different environment. But, like, it's worth knowing, in retrospect, the answer always seems like, wow, we should have really banned this, right? Ray is probably, like, #1 example, right? Ray just flat out broke Rainmaker. It broke tower control. At the very least, a ban of it in those 2 modes should have been something we could have all agreed on, and it never happened. Is Zooka as bad as Ray? No, of course not. But it is, like, does it limit what I want to see? I think so. I think when a random panic bazooka kills 2 people, or a Zooka shot clips someone behind a wall, or 2 pellets get cut off and then one of them kills people, I don't think it looks good. I don't think it feels good. Like, I don't think there's anywhere where it feels satisfying. Using it, fighting it, or watching it. It's very rarely something that I think adds to the competitive experience. I think the weapons with Zooka do, though, and that's why I don't know what the solution is, really. There's also the case of if a Nintendo tournament happens, it's not going to have restrictions, so, you know, at some point, we may have to throw those aside to begin with. So I don't really have an answer here. Again, other than the pencil change, because it's just really simple and doesn't do a whole lot, I can't directly advocate for anything. If I run my map poll again, I'll probably throw in a few restriction questions at the request of some TOs and some that I've thought of and see what top players think then. But even then, that's just what top players think. That's not a solution for the entire scene. And I think that's important because the Zooka restriction is mostly not for top level. Right? So, I don't know what the answer is. What I want to see is just more varied discussion on it. I want to see people talking about the ideas of what we're restricting and why and how it affects the game. I really like seeing stuff like more splash and more crab tank in No Bazooka. I thought that was better. I thought having a splash instead of a shot helped. And, you know, of course, at the time of recording, the new season isn't out. And we don't know how that's going to affect things, because there are a lot of strong weapons this time, so maybe things look different by the time this video comes out. Who knows? My point is more, I just want discussion on bans to be a little more about the why, rather than just, like, banning something because it's broken. Because I think if you're going to ban something purely because it's really, really good, it's not going to work. I don't even think it should. I think there's got to be better reasons than that, and that's what I want discussion to open up to. So, that's my opinion. I hope you don't mind me recycling some 3100 Expo gameplay. I didn't want to record new stuff. So, that's my thoughts on it. That's my thoughts on restrictions. Bye.